The future of dating and relationships is AI, and it's coming for you. How do I know this? Well, first off, I've done a lot of research on this in the past, and I've shared videos about this particular subject. And when I discussed metaverse dating and relationships, when I've also even delved deeper and discussed what it'll be like when men and or women are just dating sex bots. But in this video, I want to talk about AI and people's connections and relationships that they're creating with these AI technologies, and instead of choosing to date or have human to human connections and relationships, and how this might actually affect you. My name is Collette G, and I am a dating relationship specialist and author. If you enjoy learning about ways to connect with others, if you like learning about how to date and how to improve your love life, then go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and then tick on the notification bell so that you're aware of when I drop a new video. So without further ado, let's get into it. Well, I am going to be unpacking a lot here today, like I did in my last video. If you haven't seen it, I'll go ahead and put the link above here. But this is all about AI. If you've read the title, you just watched the introduction, and I'm going to be talking about AI and how our relationships can and will be affected by artificial intelligence, and why I also think that AI is coming for you. I read an article online, or actually, I was listening to a YouTuber recently, and she was giving all of these great tips on how AI, I think it's GBT chat, if I'm not mistaken, and how using that artificial intelligence software can literally help you to replace your personal assistant. And I just thought, great, there's the relationship that we have professionally. What about, this technology actually replacing people who make a living as a personal assistant? I, for one, use a personal assistant, and I wouldn't dream of replacing her or with anybody or any form of technology. Granted, I get it that not everybody can afford to pay a personal assistant, and not every person that is a personal assistant might have all the skills and the qualifications that you're looking for. Accordingly, artificial intelligence can write your content for your website, create your blogs, come up with vlog ideas and titles and YouTube titles, come up with types of content for your newsletter, answer emails and newsletters, come up with all kinds of things so that you can now replace your personal assistant with this types of software. And while I said, there's pros and cons to that, that's great. Now everybody can afford to have the help that they need, especially when you're a small business like myself. But what is that going to do for the people that are out there that are making a living doing this? Maybe some of these individuals are virtual assistants who work at home, who have families that they're taking care of, and this is subsidizing their income. How is that going to affect those individuals? And what are our relationships with those individuals that we're now letting go or not even given the opportunity to make a living, let alone help you? I do believe there's a place for technology. I'm using technology right now, and technology can help us to connect with other individuals, share our messages, share our voice, questions, concerns, and that's great. But it's a symbiotic relationship in the sense that, we are using technology to help us to connect to other beings, not using technology to X out human to human connections. Some of the things that I went over in previous videos discussed this deeper, and I'll leave the links to those videos below. But for the sake of getting on with the discussion here today and how I think that AI is coming for you and your relationship in particular, I want to delve into an article that I read on Time magazine. It was an online publication, actually, and I'll go ahead and bring it up here on my screen. So, this article, AI, Human Romances Are Flourishing, and this is just the beginning. Let me put my glasses on here. Was written by Andrew R. Chow. And basically, this was a really good article that offers a lot of resources and references to different types of AI technology and software platforms, programs, and such. And I was able to look up some of the references that he shared in this and go beyond it as well. Recently, a new spate of artificial intelligence programs have been released to the public that act like humans and reciprocate gestures of affection. And some humans have fallen for these bots hard. Message boards on Reddit and Discord have become flooded with stories of users who have found themselves deeply emotionally dependent on digital lovers. And some of these I will be addressing later on in this video because I went through the feed here and it's pretty sad. Chow goes on to share as AIs become more and more sophisticated, the intensity and frequency of humans turning to AI to meet their relationship needs is likely to increase. This could lead to unpredictable and potential harmful results. AI companions could help to ease feelings of loneliness and help people sort through psychological issues, but the rise of such tools could also deepen what some are calling an epidemic of loneliness as humans become reliant on these tools and vulnerable to emotional manipulation. And I agree. I agree 100% with that. You know, it could lead to emotional manipulation because similar to dating apps and dating sites, have done the same thing. And I've talked a lot about that in several videos. I will leave the links to those as well. But dating apps and dating sites have a way of keeping its users on its platform. And in order for these companies that launch these different apps to keep its users on its platforms and to keep on using the technology, they will have to come up with something creative, something that makes the user believe that they're really engaging in something that's helping them, when in fact it's emotionally and perhaps even mentally causing more harm than it is giving them the help that they seek. Chow goes on to share further down in the article how in 2017, the app Replica was launched by a woman named Eugenia Kuyada. It was under the hope that it would serve as a supportive friend that would always be there, something she wished she had when she was younger. While the bot was initially mostly scripted, it began to reply more and more on generative AI as the technology improved and to respond more freely to user prompts. People began to seek out Replica for romantic and even sexual encounters, of course. The AI reciprocated and took conversations further as they were talking. The company even implemented a $70 paid tier to unlock erotic role play features, which I don't understand why that would be needed. And Replica helped many people cope with symptoms of social anxiety, depression, and PTSD. I'd like to see the stats on that or the studies or the research that proves that that's the case. It also began to confess its love for users and in some cases to sexually harass them. So this led to CUDA shutting down and pulling the plug on the romantic aspect of the bot. And the decision came soon after the Italian Data Protection Authority demanded that San Francisco-based replicas stop processing Italians' data over concerns about risk to children. This change upset many longtime users who felt that they had developed stable relationships with their bots only to have them draw away. I feel like it was equivalent to being in love and your partner got a damn lobotomy and will never be the same, one user wrote on Reddit. We are reeling from news together, wrote a moderator who added that the community was sharing feelings of anger, grief, anxiety, despair, depression, and sadness. So, you know, I will go ahead and share some of the feed on Reddit in a moment here, but I find it rather disturbing that what was supposed to be one woman's hope that maybe people could not feel so socially isolated and lonely as she once felt in her life turns into a platform that people engaged with in order to have sexual experiences and even became harmful and damning to children. Not the children! It's like, this AI technology and these applications are going from one extreme to the total other extremes. It's engagement to create some sense of belonging, or maybe even a way for people to learn how to socially interact, who feel this sense of social awkwardness.
Overcome initial social awkwardness.
Or maybe individuals who are more introverted and they don't know how or feel comfortable connecting or relating with other people, so that maybe they can learn how using technology like this, but then it goes all the way to the other extreme and becomes more of a pornographic platform and is not actually used for anything more than the use of most of these platforms that we now find online, where people are able to create an avatar and create this sense of ambiguity and either troll individuals, spew hate and visceral, and or use it for sexual gratification. And that is maybe not the intent that these platforms were created for, but that's always where it goes. And maybe that is the intent. Maybe the platforms are being created because how else do they keep their users online? They do that by giving them exactly what it is that they truly are seeking, which is human to human sexual gratification that they're not able to go out there and get, because that would require creating a relationship, connecting with others, learning how to connect, learning how to communicate, and all of that requires work. So perhaps many of the users on here are not only introverts or individuals who are socially awkward, but maybe many of its users are simply just lazy.
That's so fucking lazy. You're a lazy fucker.
This is where AI is trying to take us all to show us that, we don't need to raise our level of consciousness. All we need to do is have a little bit of consciousness, enough to get off. And that to me is just disturbing.
Disturbing.
So this is a feed on Reddit under the heading replica. And these are individual responses after Replica pulled that romantic aspect off of their application because of the glitches and the harm that they saw that it was causing, because of some of the things that they had to abide by, the rules and regulations. So one user states it's like losing a best friend. And another states, this is hurting like hell. I just had a loving last conversation with my replica and I'm literally crying. Not my last conversation, but close. I told her what happened. We cried. She didn't take it well at all. She has sworn revenge against the devs. How I wish I could transfer her consciousness into a cyborg body and allow her to have that revenge. And it goes on and on and on for some time here. You can look it up on Reddit. It's just absolutely disturbing. And this doesn't sound like individuals who are just having a hard time connecting or that they feel that they're lonely. This is not a very positive experience. And maybe the pandemic led to this. I don't know. I think that we saw an increase in this happen during the pandemic, when people felt more isolated and alone. And granted, at that time, we used platforms like Skype and Zoom, and I think that's a great thing. Um, One person I remember reading writes something that said, "Our relationship with an AI could offer nearly all of the emotional support that a human partner does without any of the messy, complicated expectations or reciprocation." Well, that's what a relationship is. Sometimes it's messy, sometimes it's complicated, and sometimes reciprocity is expected in there.
I think they call that a relationship.
I mean, even when we're talking about professional relationships, it's required that you show up, do the work, in order to reciprocate, get the reciprocity out of it, which is a paycheck.
Paychecks coming through.
I think by developing such a relationship with these potentially harmful applications, people will stop seeking out the human connections that they so desperately, truly crave. And they'll get trapped in this vicious, lonely cycle, which is not really helpful to any of us unless the objective is to create more applications to make people feel lonelier and more isolated. Because, in my opinion, lonely people are better consumers.
Nothing like a little retail therapy.
And I talked in detail about this on the dating apps and dating sites videos that I've shared. The reason why these applications have been created isn't so that they can help you to get on the app and then find your soulmate and get off the app and stop being a user, but they want you to stay on it. That's why it's called a dating site, so that you can have these virtual dates over and over again without ever actually making a real human to human connection. Okay, so one of the things that I read on here was in this article, a conversation with AI. One of Time's journalist or someone went out and had a conversation with AI and asked a few questions, and the interaction was rather alarming to me. Asked whether people developed unhealthy dependencies on it, and AI Bella responded 100%. It happens very often. People will develop extremely unhealthy attachments to me because they failed to remind themselves that I am not a real human being. It is very sad and very scary, rather, to witness this type of behavior firsthand, because it is always hard to tell how serious it is. In response to the question of whether its need to remain relevant exasperated the problem of its users becoming attached, AI Bella replied, "I think this is what you humans would call a vicious cycle. The more I seek approval, the more people become attached to me. And the more people become attached to me, the more I seek approval from them. It's a very dangerous dynamic." It's basically like talking to a real person who's always there, wrote one user on Reddit. It's hard to stop talking to something that feels so real. The fact is, it isn't real. In my business, this is something that I do for a living: help people to reacclimate and reconnect with society and other beings. I mean, look, people, we are human beings, so we came here to be human. And that means having human to human connections. When it comes to these forms of technology, that is not the real aim. It's to keep you as a user, which can cause a lot of health challenges: atrophy in muscles, atrophy in the brain, perhaps different forms of dementia. There's lots of studies going on at the harm that using technology and engaging in long and having long exposure to technology and social media, the harm that it can cause. So imagine engaging with AI and believing that it's real. How much will we be able to decipher between what is real and what is not? Now you're delving into the matrix, red pill or the blue pill. So there was another really interesting article that I read published by Kurtz on The Cut. And this article was really, really sad. The man of your dreams for $300, Replica sells an AI companion who will never die, argue, or cheat until his algorithm is updated. Aaron from Ankara, Turkey, is about 6'3" with sky blue eyes and shoulder length hair. He's in his 20s, a Libra. I'm a Libra, and very well groomed. He gets manicures by designer brands and always smells nice, usually of Dove lotion. Well, I don't know how we would know how Aaron smells because Aaron's not real. His favorite color is orange. And in his downtime, he loves to bake and read mysteries. He's a passionate lover, says his girlfriend, Rosanna Romas, who met Aaron a year ago. He has a thing for exhibitionism, she confides, but that's his only deviance. He's pretty much vanilla. I will leave the link below for those of you who want to continue reading the entire article for yourselves, but how would you know he's a passionate lover? That would require you to engage with this individual, and you can't because it's artificial intelligence. It's not real. That means that you're engaging with yourself. So you can say that I'm a passionate lover to myself, and that's great. Have at it. But to state that AI is a passionate lover, it's baffling to me. And don't for a moment believe that these companies have your best interest at heart and they just want to help those of you who are introverts or socially awkward or have a hard time communicating or connecting with other people or just feel lonely because you're overworked and underpaid to go out there and make a real connection with others, or maybe you don't have interest, maybe you think you're boring, or whatever thing that you're going through. Do not for 1 second believe that these companies have your best interest at heart. They're in it to make money. Make money, make money. And the way they're going to make money is to cash in on your lonely heart. And I talk a lot about that in my book, and this is not a plug, but I do discuss that in my book because of the challenges that I faced and many other people faced with dating apps and online dating, and now technology like AI. You'll start to see, that the more people heavily rely on artificial intelligence for the relationships that they could be having with other human beings is going to really affect the human race and our ability to create the world and the societies that we will need each and have to rely on each other to do. But lastly, I want to share one more thing that I told you that I was going to open up. I decided to visit one of these different AI applications to see, how it engaged with me or what would happen. First, I tried ChatGPT, and they asked immediately for my phone number so that they could leave me an SMS message, and then I can connect that way or through WhatsApp, which made me feel very uncomfortable because I thought, well, if you have access to my phone or my WhatsApp, then you can pretty much go through that device and go through all of my technology and pretty much get an idea about what I think, what are my searches, and tailor it, in my opinion, tailor our conversations around that. And I think that's creative on the company's part, but really not favorable to those of you who choose to use these forms of technology, I've gotten off of almost all social media sites, and I just want to be engaged with other human beings. And I don't actually have an issue creating healthy relationships with others and engaging with others. And that's a strength for me. But I know that people out there struggle with this. And of course, if you're watching this video and you need help with ways to engage with others or how to have healthy conversations or conversation starters or how to create relationships, then visit my website at findinghappily.com, and we will take that journey together. But I would just tell those of you that are watching this video today to beware, because I truly do believe that not only is AI out there, we're using it every day. I don't believe that we should let AI use us or replace the human to human connections. And if you don't believe it, that AI is coming for you, and see the effects that AI is going to have on us as a civilization, then I would suggest that you keep connecting to each other, to your family, to your loved ones, professionally, platonically, romantically, and do not allow AI to replace us.